Howdy gamers!
Welcome back to another one, guys. In today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit about this Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days remake leak that is sort of making the rounds throughout Reddit as well as 4chan. It's not often that Kingdom Hearts leaks ever kind of run through both 4chan as well as Reddit. So when it does happen, it is always kind of interesting to read through what is being stated. I will say that straight off the bat, this leak is fake. It's claiming that a remake for Days is apparently going to be a thing for 2025. We're going to read through this leak, and I'm going to tell you why it is fake. It's one of those situations when you read through it where it's like, oh, it's too good to be true. At the same time, too, yeah, I could see this happening, but also as well, are Square Enix really going to go back to one of the older games now that we're moving into a brand new saga and remake it? Though I know that the reception for a Days remake would be very much positive and honestly quite welcomed. It is one of the Kingdom Hearts games that desperately does need a remake, and it's unfortunate that throughout the HD remixes, both Days and Recoded didn't receive a full-blown remake treatment similar to something like Rechain of Memories. Of course, I still stand by this though. I think that Union Cross is the most deserving Kingdom Hearts game of a remake at this stage, just due to its importance, and the fact that it's now contained within a game that cannot be accessed on mobile phones. So this was originally posted on 4chan a couple of days back by an anonymous, as it always goes with the green text posts, basically saying Square Enix is currently collaborating with Hand on a Days remake titled Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 Days HD Remix. It is being developed in Unity with PS2 era Kingdom Hearts assets. Cutscene animation and voice acting are being reused from the 1.5 movie, with select missions receiving new voice work. The multiplayer mode and mission mode from the DS versions will not return. Reveal and release are currently planned for 2025. Preliminary work on a similar Recoded remake started at around the same time. If the Days remake performs well, Hand will continue their work on that too, using the Days engine as a foundation. When the development of Remind was completed, the intention was for the Osaka staff to use the assets they had made to develop several smaller scale titles simultaneously with Kingdom Hearts 4. COVID and other factors, such as KH4 eating up many more resources than expected, tore these plans apart. Square Enix and Disney want to expand the series' audience as much as possible before KH4 releases, with the Steam ports, remakes, and Missing Link all being parts of that plan. KH4 is currently scheduled for the end of 2026, but it might slip into 2027 depending on how development proceeds. So definitely some big claims, and it's one of those situations of, wow, too good to be true. Yeah, I would love to see Days being remade, especially more so with the PS2 assets being developed on Unity, kind of similar to what we saw with Melody of Memory, rather than using Unreal Engine. And we have talked about in the past how it would be super cool if Square Enix could go back to the AA level of Kingdom Hearts games so that they can pump Kingdom Hearts games out at a more consistent rate. And a great way of doing that would be for the smaller subtitled games that are proper video games and not mobile phone entries, would be to have that sort of PlayStation 2 type aesthetic, because it still holds to this day for some of these smaller entries, so that we are getting content, and I mean proper content, not so much the mobile content we've been so used to for the past decade, while we're waiting for the next big game to come out. Because as it stands nowadays, over the past decade for Kingdom Hearts, it has been taking a tremendous amount of time to get a proper, full-blown Kingdom Hearts experience. Now, a lot of the stuff that's mentioned in here honestly would make sense if an HD remix of Days was going to be a thing. This is certainly someone that spends a bit of time within the Kingdom Hearts community and is obviously a fan of the games. They sort of know what they're talking about. Number one, I could absolutely see handling a Days remake. We know that still to this day, Hand and Square Enix work together. They most recently worked on Neo: The World Ends With You. It would actually be pretty incredible if Square Enix outsourced the development of smaller Kingdom Hearts titles, like AA quality titles, to hand, and did a great job with both Recoded and Days, along with the other games that Square have worked with them on. They're familiar with the Unity engine. Square Enix even used the Unity engine in order to develop Melody of Memory using the older PlayStation 2 Kingdom Hearts assets, so Unity being the engine that would run old school-esque aesthetic-wise type Kingdom Hearts games for new subtitled entries makes a lot of sense to me. Just makes more sense to use Unity rather than Square Enix digging up that old Kingdom Hearts 2 engine from the grave. It would make sense for them to use the cutscenes from 1.5. They're already there, they've already been developed in high definition, though I will say they're still in a lower resolution even with the current PlayStation 4 and PC ports. So if a remake were to ever happen, I would hope that they still have the source cutscenes there without the compression so that they can bump the resolution up, because the resolution of the Days and Recoded movies, I believe, are like 720p. Multiplayer mission mode being removed, yeah, that makes sense. They did this with Birth by Sleep with 2.5, so I don't think this would be something that would return, though huge if it didn't, because Mirage Arena still returned in BBS. It's just there was no multiplayer components to that, unfortunate. But doing the whole of Days would be a major undertaking, and so in order to save a bit of time there with development, I could actually see them removing mission mode entirely, though that would be a big mess right there, because mission mode is one of the coolest aspects of Days. It would mean, though, that Hand in this case would have to remake literally all of the organization characters being playable, which again adds more time to the development. Preliminary work on Recoded, that comment was absolutely the first red flag. There is just zero demand, I feel personally, for Square Enix to go back and to remake Recoded versus looking at Days. A ton, if not the entire community, want a Days remake. So getting to how I know that this is fake is looking at the attached gameplay images for this 4chan post. We got a typical Kingdom Hearts main menu mock-up, which honestly incredibly easy to make on Photoshop. I've done a ton myself. The cutscene right there has obviously been ripped from the 1.5 movie, but more so looking at the menu right here and the actual gameplay footage of inside the Organization 13 waiting room, or like the lobby or whatever, this gameplay image right here has been ripped straight from Days' Melon mix. And then there's been a little bit of Photoshop goodness added on top with the command menu, with the heads-up display and the health bar, with the limit break section of the health and the information. But this is quite literally the DS version of Days running on Melon Mix, the modified Nintendo DS emulator that allows you to play a high-definition version of Days. We've talked a lot about Melon Mix, a fantastic project, and currently right now, the best way to experience the game. It's from this image alone that confirms to me, yeah, this is absolutely fake. I will say that the camp menu that they've done a mock-up here is actually kind of good, though we've got sort of a basic Kingdom Hearts pattern in the background. It is using the style of the Kingdom Hearts 3 camp menu and sort of applying it into a Days remake. I think it looks kind of good, but again, quite basic. It does come across as a Photoshop edit. Cool how they've got the X button, which I'm assuming is from Nintendo Switch, to sort of insinuate that this would also be releasing on Switch, because yeah, if a Days remake were to happen, a Switch port would absolutely be viable. Now, the mention of Square and Disney wanting to expand the Kingdom Hearts audience as much as possible before Kingdom Hearts 4's release does make sense. Over the past decade, more so than that, like 11 years since 2013, Square Enix have been on this mission to make the Kingdom Hearts games as accessible as possible. The sheer amount of re-releases that Kingdom Hearts has seen in the past decade is honestly insane. Crazy to think that almost anything now can play Kingdom Hearts. And this is a means to build and expand the Kingdom Hearts brand, which is smart to do before going into the next big chapter of the series. Kingdom Hearts 4 for 2026, though it'll slip into 2027. Okay, so I do not think that Square would drop KH4 in 2027. Reason why is that should be the year for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. I cannot imagine a timeline where Square Enix drop FF7 Part 3, let's say at the end of the year, and KH4 at the beginning of the same year. That's just way too much, though that would be an incredible year for Square Enix. Again, way too much I just personally don't see it happening. I think most of us are in agreement that 2026 is going to be the year for the game, which is insane because if you were to have asked me that back in 2022 when KH4 got revealed, I would have been like, there's no way, I've got faith and trust in my boys at Square Enix. Oh, how times have changed. Yeah, 2026 should be the year. Hopefully! So my opinion on an actual Days remake coming from Square Enix is I just don't think it would happen. I think the game that they absolutely need to remake, if they're going to look at doing a remake of any kind, would be Union Cross. But in regards to remakes and remasters, most of us are just wanting to move forward with the series, especially considering that the bulk of what's come out for Kingdom Hearts in the past decade has been remasters. You have to ask yourself, if Square Enix were to do a Days remake or a remake of any kind soon, would that be a good look for the Kingdom Hearts brand where it's just constantly going through a remake remaster cycle? Now the good news is, if you are someone who is an avid fan of Kingdom Hearts Days, then don't worry, there are currently 3 projects at the moment that are going to eventually allow you to be able to experience an enhanced version of Days. So to reiterate, the first one here is Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 Days Melon Mix. Recoded is currently in development to be compatible as well, but this is a modified version of the Melon DS emulator. It's the original game, but you get widescreen support, multi-screen integration into one screen for menus, internal resolution increases all the way up to 4K, 1.5 HD Remix cutscene integration, quality of life improvements and UI upgrades, complete controller support, and camera improvements. There's a lot of cool stuff that Melon Mix does, and it's going to get even better. Right now, Vidor and a few other people are currently working hard towards another big update for Melon Mix. Along with making Recoded playable and working in the same vein as Days Melon Mix, they're going to be removing all of the DS textures and replacing them with the high definition textures found in 1.5. The second option here is Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 Days Final Mix. This is a pretty ambitious Kingdom Hearts 2 mod overhaul project that seeks to basically remake the entirety of Days within Kingdom Hearts 2 as an overhaul mod. If you guys want to learn more about that, I was given the chance to try out a work in progress version of the mod. It is very cool, it is highly ambitious. Whether or not we will see this completed is kind of up in the air, but I'm definitely rooting for Oshinobi, who is currently working on this. And the third one, this is something we haven't talked about, and I'm not going to provide too much information for this one, but it's probably the most exciting out of these 3 Days projects. Simply put, it is known as Kingdom Hearts Tears. It is a remake project for Days, developed on Unreal Engine 5 and programmed from scratch. This has quietly been in development for the past few years now, and the team behind this are incredibly talented and very competent. I have a lot of faith in this project, and it's something I've been keeping a close eye on, even though they're not exactly too forthcoming about the project, and I think that is likely out of fear that Square Enix might potentially shut it down. So I think they're waiting to completely finish the project before really coming forward about it and fully talking about it. But it's super exciting, it's incredibly ambitious. Again, it's been in development for a few years. It is something we might see a full release of come next year. When the time comes, we'll obviously talk about it. So it's not like we're going without. There are some means of being able to play either an enhanced, a remade, or a remastered version of Days. Bless this dedicated community. But for anyone that stumbled across this leak, whether it be on 4chan or of course the Games Leak Reddit, yeah, I'm sorry to say, this is fake. As I've mentioned in other videos though, I have heard from a source of mine who's connected within the industry that there is multiple things happening at Square Enix behind the scenes in regards to Kingdom Hearts. But as far as I know, this is not one of them. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything going on here. A big thank you to my Turkey-tastic patrons. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk real soon.